to put it on video.
Okay.
Are you okay with us taping this?
Yes, it's fine.
All right, so today our discussion is about resources and community, and we are lucky enough to have Sister Amy, who is the president of the Attainable Housing and president of Human Service Council for Leavenworth County, which is a council that incorporates kind of all of those that help those in need. So I'm so thankful for Amy's friendship, because it is amazing to know what happens in my community that you didn't know, and fulfilling the need. So she's going to share with us today all that she knows, and turn it over to you, sister.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all very much. This is an impressive, I want to take all of your things and I may just become a member. You do agree. So, yeah, thank you. I've thought about it for a while. Now this might have just tipped me over. Okay, so I must always start out with who I am and what I do most in my day. And so I want to tell you, I have I didn't give everybody because we have some folks. About Leavenworth Attainable Housing, okay, just a quickie. We have been in existence for since 2021, and Jeanette, correct me if I'm wrong, because she is a long-term friend and supporter and a resource as well. We grew out of the need for, from Community of Hope, the homeless shelter. People were doing what they needed to do. They were getting a job and still couldn't find housing, so they stayed at the shelter. They were doing everything, jumping through the hoops, could not make it, because you have to have proof that you have 3 times the monthly rent to be able to pay the landlord, which I gotta say blew my mind. I had no idea. That seems unattainable to me. So Sister Vicki Perkins, you may have known her legacy, her as a person, wonderful, dynamic, started then Attainable Housing, and a gentleman donated a house, and that became the first one. And the story is really, I need to update this. This is 2024-5 statistics here. But what makes us different is people come to us and they need to participate in our program. What we have is a circle of support. And in addition to that, we have 19 houses. So we own 13 of them and we manage 6. So the Lutheran Church, we manage 5 houses, God love them. And a couple in the community has given us a house to manage, and we have one of our participants there. So what we try to do is help people kind of get over that hump. They all have to have an income. This is not a no income free ride. Must have an income. And they pay us 1/3 of their income every month. And from that, we pay the utilities. So it becomes affordable, right? It's attainable in that if someone has been evicted before, has an eviction, we don't look at that, we talk about it, you know, if they have been in jail, we talk about it, but that does not preclude them from being in our program. So I've tried to use the word, what we need more of are benevolent landlords. And Chris, my coworker, laughs at me. He's like, what? But I feel like that's a bit who we are in a sense, but it's more than that, because we have housing support specialists, 2 of them, who go into the home of our participants once a week and check in on them. How are you doing? You said these were your goals. How's it going? We worked on this as your budget for the month. How are you doing? You're behind in your rent. What do we need to do to help you? Or you're paying a lot of child support. How can we help you? So financial support, mental health or physical health, we encourage them to take advantage of the resources that we have. And then the support of the community, like they themselves support one another, and we have an advisory council that they are wonderful supporters who encircle us, and Jeanette has been a part of that. It just links our folks to community. We all need that circle of support, and some people don't have it built in, so we try to provide that. Currently, we serve like 26 adults and about 20 children. I updated it, and 6 months old is our youngest. We also and we are a snapshot of what's happening in the community. We have grandparents, both not such good health, who have custody of their 2 teen granddaughters, right? So they now have the burden of helping them, or they wouldn't have any help. The other thing is this is another societal problem, the landlord that they rented from is not known for keeping things clean and insect free and all of that, and they were having troubles, and they both have bad health, and they ended up, sort of being evicted, but they left before that happened. So they were in a pickle and not in good health. So we heard their story and we said yes, and they are participating, they're getting health care, doing well. So if you look on the front of our flyer, that is a new duplex, and if you drive by 728 Potawatomi, that is the duplex. We have a grant from the state of Kansas. We got it about 1.5 years ago, but we believe the money will come. In 2026, they swear, and I'm believing them this time, we will get $1 million, and we will build 4 duplexes. We already have the lots. So most of our work is in North Leavenworth, because if you drive through North Leavenworth, there are abandoned houses, there are empty lots. And so we now have 4 empty lots. One is right next to the 728 Potawatomi. And so we will begin to build, I swear, this spring. I hope I'm not lying. And we also, there is a Kansas Abandoned Housing Act that we are the pilot project for. It happens in Missouri, that it's the Linden neighborhood has been totally transformed because it needs to go through the legal system, but abandoned houses, their owner, where have they gone, right? One of ours that we want to acquire in Leavenworth, the gentleman has died years and years ago, and the house is now decrepit, and no one's gonna do anything unless we go through this process. So it's a great way to acquire the houses, but it does need to go through the court. And I believe we have 3 identified in North Leavenworth, and I think 2 for sure will be able to acquire. One has many owners and liens, and I don't know. And that's the Butterfly House. We call it that because it's a 4-something Ottawa, just before 5th. It's falling down, but at the peak of it, it has a wooden butterfly. Remember when those were popular? You put them on your tree or your house. So that's our, we'd like it to be ours. It's like 426, 4 something like that. And I've never really had the experience until I began here, but it is so powerful to hand a key on that second page, hand a key to someone who has never had that opportunity. We have a gentleman in our program who has been homeless for 20 years. He's had a job, he washes dishes, and he has kept it. And he now lives inside. Now, he acquires a lot of stuff. Some of it's eking outside. So we're all not perfect, and we all need that circle of support to help us. And we have one house that is, there are 3 gentlemen. It's a 3-bedroom house, and so it's congregate living, right? So kind of taking advantage of the resources that we have and the willingness of the gentlemen to live together, work together. And I'm a sister of charity. I live in community, so I can give a little helpful tips about what to do if somebody's driving you crazy or leaves dishes in the sink, all of those things. So we sort of laugh that it's a similar experience. So that's about us, okay? We participate in, as Kelly said, the Human Service Council, and that is an organization of nonprofits in the whole county, and we come together once a month to say, what's happening? What are the needs? What are the resources? And that's a challenge, because when someone calls us and says, I can't find a house, I'm gonna get evicted. Well, we are not emergency housing. We attainable housing don't do that. And very few do now. Catholic Charities can be called if there is an emergency housing, but they don't always, if they're out of money, they're out of money. And an organization called NECAP, wonderful organization, Northeast Kansas, I'm not sure, Child Assistance. Anyway, they're in several counties here in Northeast Kansas, but they no longer will be able to provide the emergency assistance, like I need this much for my first month rent. So that's a huge gap that people will face. That might be something that we need to talk about as a larger community. But this organization has been going for a number of years, and we meet monthly, try to coordinate the services that are happening and inform each other of what's happening, and we're trying to create like a database or a resource clearinghouse home that might be on the web. The Council on Aging is a county organization. They do great work, and Connie Harmon has offered maybe one of her staff members could kind of be the point person who we could feed information to and then educate people that they could go there. Mainly the service providers probably would go there when they got a call about someone who is in need. The other thing I want to tell you about, and then I'll leave room for questions or more conversation. If you can take one and pass it. This is information from the Kansas Housing Advocacy Network. It's a phenomenal organization. And they have trainings, they have voter information, and that's what I asked Kelly to put down on this little piece of paper for you. It talks about what's the picture in all of Kansas counties, but I copied Leavenworth County. And the notable things for me on here, and I'm not going to go over it, is how unaffordable housing is. So a 1-bedroom rental in the county, someone would need to make $22.75 an hour. Our people don't do that. They do not make that much. I mean, there's no way. And it says that someone would have to work at that 126 hours a week, right? To be able to afford that. I mean, it is impossible, and the system is set up impossibly. And we keep allowing that to continue. So someone who makes minimum wage, if you look at the top of the wage and cost rental, someone who makes minimum wage could pay only $337 a month. That would be a third of their income. Now, we in attainable housing, everyone has to make at least $900 a month, right? So we are in that category. And we have 2 people who make that. There is a woman on Social Security, so we get $310 rent for her, and the rest she has to provide food and everything else. So it's just unattainable, and we cannot keep doing that. And then everyone is housing cost burdened here, right? Everyone. And the folks and again, Kansas Housing Advocacy Network is an awesome organization. I really check them out, click around. You know, they have done presentations here for legislators. Next time they do it, I'm inviting us. That there is not enough senior housing. There's not enough, people want to get rid of or move senior citizens, move out of their big family homes, but there's not affordable, smaller homes here for people. So they're moving maybe south, they're moving other places. And how long are we gonna let that continue? I mean, it's mind-blowing, and there are so many people trying to help fill the gaps. I think we need as much energy trying to fix the system. If I had a solution for it, I'd be out advocating all the time. I don't, but there are enough conversations about it. This morning, as I was praying, I was thinking, okay, what will I say? How will, because I do this, but I was thinking, that the starfish story about the guy walking the beach and he throws one in, because there's thousands, but he throws one in and he throws one in. Truly, we, DePaul Leavenworth Attainable Housing, are making a difference. We're throwing some people back in the water, and it's making a huge difference for them. And in turn, they can help change the people around them, or their children, right? Mom and dad are working hard. Kids see that. But we are obligated, I think, morally obligated to work on the whole beach as human beings. One more. Here's a number. These are numbers from the Kansas Balance of State information. Once a year, there is something called the point in time count. And that's coming up at the end of January. But in 2025, January 2025, Leavenworth County, 72 people who were homeless as they were counted on that day. And the other piece of those 72 is that 6 or less had been here for 12 months in Leavenworth County. 3 had been here for 7 to 12 months. And 49 had been in this county for more than a year. So those are our citizens. The Northeast Kansas count, we are, what counties? Leavenworth is the biggest, Jefferson, Jackson, Atchison, Donovan, Brown, and Nemaha. So there are not services or agencies or people to count in those other counties, but we do know that there are people in need of housing, people who don't have it or are doubling up. So there are 89 were counted in last year's point in time count in the whole region. So 72 Leavenworth, 89 the whole region. So we know there are probably more because people don't get counted. There are homeless in the whole of Leavenworth County. The reason that Leavenworth knows about people who might be homeless in Tonganoxie or Bonner Springs or Baser is they come here for services because there aren't services there. And I chatted with Miranda Agnew, who was the director of Community of Hope, just to learn a little more about that. And she was saying that that they come and they would work either with the Community of Hope or Catholic Charities here in Leavenworth, people from Tongi and Baser, but Bonner folks generally go to Wyandotte County because it's closer. So here's a few crazy things that I just have to say. There are people who, you know the Terrace Court Motel on 4th Street? I heard your exasperation, me too. We've had two of our folks, we had a woman who was paying, she would have to do DoorDash to make, it was like $80 a day. So she and her 2 kids could live there. It was unsustainable. She went to Catholic Charities sent her to us. She was in our program, did wonderfully, is now back with near her family in Carolina. But they charge $400 a week, right? Some of our folks, yes, some of our folks pay $400 a month, right? So the incongruity of people sort of making money on those who are in need, you know? That again, a system sort of problem I don't know how to fix. Another gap, I got a call from a gentleman, and we get calls all the time and can't, again, try to help. A gentleman called from Providence Hospital. A patient from Providence was homeless and had part of his foot amputated and he wanted housing. I'm like, oh, sir, so that's actually a gap here in this area, is some sort of a respite or a transitional medical, because I know that people who have gotten out of the hospital often get taken to the front door of the Community of Hope. They are not equipped either to care for medical needs, but there isn't that gap as well. So related to Kansas housing advocacy, there are a couple bills that are going to be introduced, and I think the bill number, if you go to the Voter Voice Network, which is the first one, they will be numbered this week. And several of them have to do with housing rental. And I'm not good at explaining that, or the legislation.
Explanation on there though.
Okay. Many of the houses in Leavenworth that are owned by people and rented out are owned by people out of state. The larger places, like Woodland Village, is owned by, I can't say the company, but they gave K-A-J-N, gave a workshop once, and they talked about sort of the predatory ownership, right? And because it's corporate, they don't care about, I'm not gonna listen to your needs, you human being. It's, you didn't do this, so computer-wise and automatically, the eviction process begins. So, again, benevolent landlords, if any of you know them, can direct me to them. Are one. People just need a little bit of help. We've all needed it in life in some ways, and if we can help people get over that little hump, they can be contributing citizens. They work, they're contributing to the economy. They are our brothers and sisters in this county, in this world, and I think we need to do what we can. So I've talked a lot. Do you have, I don't know if I can answer questions, but what thoughts or
I have a question on, when you talked about the one family that moved to Carolina, do people, for lack of a better term, graduate from your program, and how does that happen? Is there a great success rate?
So we've been in existence for 4 years, right? So there have been, like, it's an individual program, right? Because each person has goals that they want to meet, or educational focuses, or a savings amount that they want to meet. So we don't have a standard, you've reached this, boom, you're finished. She wanted to move close to family. She was having some financial challenges and could tend to those more there, and that was a good thing. We've had some unsuccesses. We've had to invite people to leave. Really, the first person before my time was invited to leave, the first house ever. So, and one youngish guy, he was the stellar example of who we are and what we did. He kind of was a little spokesperson for us a couple times, had a great job, he has mental health issues, and he kind of thought he could do everything himself. He chose to move out a little prematurely. We recommended again. Anyway, he's gone off the rails. He doesn't have that support, which, I mean, it's very hard, but we can't protect everybody from themselves, right? We can wish them the best, so still stay in touch. Another little antidote. So yes, a number of our people have mental health issues, right? Who we all might. I mean, it is a physical health, it is a mental health. We all have that need. One woman once, we were giving a presentation at the Lions Club, and you know, our houses, we are scattered in the community. We are not like one neon, here is Leavenworth Attainable Housing. We are 19 houses that you don't notice. And she said, what if how do I know that you haven't moved someone who's a drug addict in next to me? And I said, well, how do you know one doesn't live next to you right now, right? We vet our people and we accompany them. We're in their house every week. So we know our folks, right? Are they 100% perfect? No. Who is? Nobody. So we have had successes. We've had, I don't know, failures, little hiccups. And some people, like we have I say older woman, but I'm like 2 years younger than she is. But anyway, she will be with us until she can't care for herself. She is the one who makes the minimum for Social Security. So we are called officially permanent supportive housing, but for the young folks that are with us, it's supportive housing, stepping towards something, and we're hoping with the abandoned housing project, we'd like to help our folks maybe begin to work towards home ownership. We have a couple that really want to, and so we've talked about learning. I need to learn that. I have never owned a home. I have 0 credit. I'm a sister of charity. So, but to help them navigate how to do that so that they then can settle in and deepen roots. The trick is some of the houses are very small, right? They're 2-bedroom, and you know, we have a mom with 3 kids. So that's one of the challenges. The largest house we have is 3 bedrooms. That's it. So, yes.
So there's somewhat of a trend in, I'll say, base or south, where some residential developers, primarily developers that are from out of state, are trying to put together a subdivision community of smaller houses that are on slabs. And there's some of them in Tonganoxie, and there's a couple that have been sort of through the Baser commission process, planning commission process, and then there's recently one that was down on Golden Road that got pulled. But sometimes we're hearing the developers say this is affordable housing, but it's still, like in Tonganoxie, the houses were selling for what, $220,000. You know, like, yeah, so you know that the definition of affordable is
Right.
kind of up for debate, I guess, or different people have different opinions about what affordable is. But that type of development really wouldn't help the population that you guys are serving, right?
Right, it wouldn't. Now, could it be that some of them are, you know, as they say, the mixed use, and some are very low income, affordable? But no, that's.
Yeah. And then my other question was, I've seen properties go up. Sometimes it's a vacant lot, sometimes there's a house on it, sometimes it's a dilapidated house, but on the tax, what do they call it, delinquent tax
Right.
sale on courthouse steps.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys participate in that?
We have not right now. So with we need more staff or a cadre of volunteers. I mean, because what we do, we would need to renovate. So when we acquire the abandoned houses, which we're committed to 2 or 3, I got to raise the money for that, right? I mean, it's to do that well, not perfectly. Our houses are comfortably live-inable, but they're not the top of the line granite countertop, that kind of thing. We have not, I know that exists. And we bought a lot. Actually, the lot next to our 728 Potawatomi house was sold to us by a guy who bought many vacant lots, like too many, and now he's trying to get rid of them in that way. If we needed them, I do know and appreciate the reminder, you know, that we could do that. I think the abandoned housing is similar because they're uninhabited, they're falling down, they have back taxes that haven't been paid, that we'll have to pay.
Yeah, but sometimes the house may be so dilapidated, the cost of renovation is kind of like pretty high. But then, like on a vacant lot, there should already be water there.
Correct.
You know, like,
yes.
So in my mind, and I've kind of tossed this around a couple times, it's like a tiny home type situation or a small home or something.
Right.
And maybe it's not permanent housing, but it's something to get people off the streets, or it seems like there are opportunities to maybe think outside the box. Similar to I think you guys might be familiar with the tiny home for teens aging out of foster care down
Yes,
there,
oh, yes,
Harper
yes,
Stable.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So something similar to that, but again, those houses are really small.
right, oh,
Very small.
definitely.
Yeah, but I guess it depends on what we're trying to, who we're trying to serve. And
Right.
having different opportunities for different.
Do you then go in and teach these people who have never owned a house or maybe never lived in a decent house, teach them how to take care of their house, how to keep it clean, how to, et cetera?
We do, that's a part of the,
I know a priest that used to be here in Leavenworth moved to Chicago. This was about the time that housing was starting to be available there. And they had to go in and teach people that they put in an apartment, how to take care of their garbage, how to get rid of their trash, just very
Right.
basic things.
it's true, right, and that is the reason that housing support specialist once a week is in there, and then there is full-on housing inspection once a month, so.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
to keep mice out, just.
Right, right, and we have like a young woman who, and a young mom, and she hears noises, well, they're regular noises in, her furnace is kicking on, but she's never known that. So it's, and actually this morning I thought, do I need to tell anybody, turn on your little water to drip a little in your, you know what I mean, like, oh gosh. We're learning about, how to help people learn those things too, so.
And who do you get to, who's going to help build these houses that you're talking about?
Or
starting this
renovate,
spring?
yeah.
Are the people that are gonna live in them gonna help build them, or is it?
No, cause we don't know who will live in them, yet. We are, we'll put it out for bid. The last one, the one on Potawatomi was put out for bid, but I think only one person bid, cause it was one duplex. This is 4 duplexes, hopefully they'll be going, you do this and then you do it to that one and that one, so it will be, yeah. We also are in a conversation, some of the city folks, so Nancy Bowder is on our advisory council.
Okay.
Because she's Nancy and I've known her a long time and she's the mayor. She and Kim Portillo of Development and some of us and a few others are having conversations about what can happen in North Leavenworth. And one of the people at the table is a gentleman who builds concrete homes throughout the world. And they are initially a tad bit more expensive, but long-term less upkeep, better for utilities, environment, all of that. So I can't yet tell you exactly because we're talking to him, and I would like to give that a try because I think more of that could happen. We know if we're gonna acquire whatever the Ottawa Butterfly House number is, it might not be livable, yes, inhabitable. And so if we do have to tear it down, could some smaller concrete house, or Bill Geiger is also in on the conversation that we're having, wonderful guy, loves Leavenworth as well. He found a place, it's in Belton, Missouri, and I can't remember the name of the company, but they make, it's like a prefab container home that's small, that's, comes with the stuff in it. Like you put the couch in Belton and drive it up here or something. So, right, but because as you said, the things have the utilities and everything for it, so.
Does
Yes.
the owner also own the territory that the home is placed on? I know an issue with a lot of mobile homes that styles that even if they own the home, they don't own the property around it, so they still have to pay property tax. Is that not the case here?
We
Rent.
would own the property. We, DePaul Leavenworth Attainable Housing, own it, so, and this and all but the 6 that we manage. So, and we pay property taxes right now.
Thank you.
Okay, darn it. I won't tell you that I'm gonna try to get out of it. Okay. Will I get kicked out of this place if I? Yes, please.
The shipping container houses are big as well. Find the old
Yes.
shipping containers and rehabbing those for small, but they can put multiples together or single. That's a big thing, and apparently they're very inexpensive. Obviously, you've got to get it to the slab and all that.
Sure.
But yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
movement right now.
And that may be what this Belton organization is, maybe.
But there's so
yes.
many of them around the world that are just abandoned, and they just need
I
to.
know. Yeah, I've been to Haiti where they have worked well with them, yeah.
Have you reached out to schools to see about when you have homes that need to be rehabbed? And that would be really good for the students to learn
The VOTEC?
how to do electricity.
The VOTEC people.
Yeah, the VOTEC schools that can come in and actually give them the experience, hands-on, on how to do all these repairs.
Good idea. I have called Pioneer.
Yeah.
But haven't heard back. Does anybody know a name there?
No.
Marsha Irvine.
Pardon me?
Marsha Irvine.
She runs them.
MARCIA and then IRVINE.
Thank you. So yes, that is a great, initially, and you were there were volunteers who did some of the renovation, and that works a bit. And then for the long term, and lately we've had more contractor folks or professionals who know how to do things and make them stick or, remain
Quality.
usable, thank you, right? But we use volunteers for kind of the going in and finishing up or cleaning up, or power washing or painting and all of those kind of things, yes.
That's how I got on the
You know,
list.
that's right, right. Oh, yes, and you helped us clean out one that, yes, God love you, yes.
Kind of two questions. Where do you seek volunteers to help out with this kind of housing rehabilitation? And do you work with Habitat for Humanity of KC on this or any other chapter?
Habitat for Humanity is the one that told us about the Kansas Abandoned Housing Act, and so we're connected with them in that way. And we want to learn more about how that works for the first time home ownership. And I know Lawrence has something called tenant to own or tenant to ownership that we also need to look at. So we don't necessarily work with Habitat on our houses, but we use them as a resource. And then we get volunteers by talking to folks, by calling people. If you're interested, my contact number or email is back here. If you want to be on yes, I'd be happy to be a closer or a yard person or whatever. Was there a yard person over here? Was that a yes? Oh.
These are the master
Master gardeners.
Oh, sorry.
Heirloom.
Hardly. You're the professional.
We're the heirloom master gardeners.
Oh, my
You're the
goodness.
active, I'm heirloom.
I didn't know heirloom was the word. I love that
Well, you
word.
may not know it by
Gardeners.
looking at my yard. But look at the gardens where I've worked.
Oh, okay.
I would like to share a story, if you will, from the other
Please.
side. Without going into a
Yep.
laundry list of what my dysfunctional family is doing. I have a granddaughter who turned 18 the day after her dad died and became, in her opinion, homeless a week later. And she's in the Restart program on the Missouri side.
Wonderful.
She has multiple caseworkers because she got turned in by her counselor to Child Protection Services. So CPS is involved. Without going into the ugliness, she she's in a place like yours,
Uh-huh.
where she is now moving into a house, I guess, with a couple of other gals, and it has been life-saving, literally life-saving. So
Wonderful.
thank you for what you do, and you never, in my opinion, you never know who needs help.
It's true. All of us at some point, right? We don't know what each other has experienced or, we have people who have medical issues that if their medical issue arises and they can't go to work, they're gonna lose their job or their car doesn't work. And so, so we, on people's behalf, beg, and ask, would you be willing to help with this? Do you know whatever who could help with this? We used to go to Leavenworth High School. Chris Bergen was the automotive teacher or whatever. And we could slip in a car or two that one mom needed her car, that's her livelihood. And so he and his students got that running in a day or so, which what a gift, rather than paying some, So I now kind of, car place hop, and just to find out, are you honest? Could I send our folks here? Would you, do you upcharge? So I flat out ask. So.
I'd like to just mention the tiny houses for veterans. Because when we really started the program, we looked at tiny houses for veterans because we felt that really would work here. Well, we do not have ordinances that are friendly to those kind of tiny houses, not even in Lansing either. And then we kind of evaluated whether we should refer the veterans back to the VA. So we actually moved away from that idea in the end. Although I think it's almost like the situation with the containers. I don't see why, seeing as we're putting all these tiny houses in for $300,000, that we can't possibly look at doing some alternative stuff now. I would hope that we can. Also with the habitat houses, they don't build houses here anymore. For many years they did. My husband was always building houses with habitat. They have several cinder block houses here, where they use the cinder block and poured the concrete in. I think one is here on 3rd Street.
Really?
There's one there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how successful. I think it was quite expensive to do it like that. Maybe it's less expensive now, but they did attempt that here in Leavenworth as well at one point. It's pretty interesting.
Well, and supposedly to make it financially feasible for the company, for them to do what they do and build the forms, they build them and then pour the concrete and do that, they would need a commitment of 30-ish houses. Not us, City of Leavenworth maybe, some planner, developer, maybe, and they could be larger. We don't need that for attainable housing, but families might, or families downsizing or upsizing, the first starter homes. So, there are lots of possibilities, I think. It's just working together, We've talked, again, I just am rambling, but all of these things. If landlords would work together with each other, right, and with helping people, if I knew someone was having trouble and the landlord could call and say, this person hasn't paid, then we could, a couple people, but we're busy enough with our own, but that's a gap of maybe a service or a staff member. Maybe the City of Leavenworth could have a staff member that could do that ultimately saves the landlord, saves the eviction. So sort of the stop it before it happens kind of.
Isn't there a rental person on the?
Yeah. Well, that's Larry, Lawrence Levine.
Yeah.
Right. He's, Chip. He, but his is more, It's gotten a little far by then, I
Oh,
think,
his is kind of,
between the
reactive, not
landlord
proactive.
and the tenant,
Oh,
right, right.
okay.
Right, it's a great thing, and I've sent people to him who call us and say, my landlord won't, and really the bugs, and I can't, and so it's like, well, call him. But yeah, more of a social worker type, yes.
Could you please describe a little bit more about the Human Services Council, and is it tied in with United Way? And Captain Crystal over at Salvation Army, is she, because they're trained to help with those goals that you're talking about, or are you already using them as a resource?
So Human Service Council, the United Way attends, right? What's his name? Bill was the chair 2 years ago, right? We sort of rotate that. So they are a participant. Salvation Army is a participant, and not Crystal, but
Dawn Weston?
no, another woman. Anyway, she is now on the leadership team of the Human Service Council. I'm not anymore as of 26. Jeanette, no. Anyway, sorry. So we all kind of attend that and share the resources and say, like, I know that Salvation Army has this great, it was a youth music group.
They're still zipped in containers. I don't think anyone's using them.
Oh,
All the keyboards and
yeah.
stringed instruments.
Okay, well, they told us about it before
Yeah.
Christmas. You know, it's like, so, positive activities for the kids,
Yes.
that kind of thing. So, tell me more, what, did I answer your question? What else?
Kind of. I mean, you
Okay.
say they come together and they meet as a Human Services Council, but are they is it collaborative, or is it kind of like stovepipe? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I
Are
do.
people
Yes, I
sharing
do.
those resources and sharing action plans together?
We are working on doing that and how to do that. One
Okay.
of the things is actually the food, hopefully you've seen like the food drive that's
Yes.
kind of has momentum. Part of that, they came and mobilized the group that was attending in December, and so got more people involved, and conversations, larger conversations are happening with members around then food insecurity. That includes the people who come to the Human Service Council. We're probably, I mean, it's a good question, and we've talked about how to mobilize that group. Quite often, because it's 1 hour, once a month. We've talked about, do we need breakout groups? Do we need like the resource group of, you know, can some people put those together, get them to Connie, and, you know, we work on them that way. So, you know how meetings are. Sometimes they're not the best way, right? I find it useful to know, oh, you do that, I can call you if I, you know, those kind of things. Or we're having an enrollment for the whatever, or Christmas baskets, who's doing them, how many do you have, who do we call?
I think of Iris. I mean, Iris with
Yes.
I mean, she's out there just hustling every week. So I guess instead of recreating wheels, you know, having that in between system. And I just wondered, because I've never been to one of those council meetings or service council meetings, but I heard about them, and I wondered how collaborative they are, and how yep, this is what we're gonna do, and this is that system, like you said,
Right,
you're gonna
right.
set up. You know,
We're
and
gonna
a lot of them are interfaith, you know, and
Right.
and faith-based. Nothing's church, it's the Presbyterian Church.
Right.
St. Paul's, of course.
That
Right.
meeting's open to anybody.
Sure.
I do have a question. It seems, looking at this, how much money, like $22 an hour to rent a place, does that mean then that there's an abundance of available rentals in Leavenworth and Lansing that are just unoccupied because people can't afford them?
No,
So-
actually, the vacancy rate is pretty low. The places, landlords traditionally set the rates on what the military, what are those letters? Thank you. are, right? And so they are filled with people who can afford them, right? The ones that, like, the military folks are probably not gonna rent at Woodland Village, right? Or Stoneleigh Court, I mean, so, no, there's not a huge vacancy rate, and
You know, they built these apartments in Lansing.
Covington Woods, is
Well,
that it?
Covington Woods and the one before that, the first one,
Lansing.
aren't those
Income-based.
subsidized, yeah, income-based housing?
They're
used
not,
to be.
they're not
They used to be.
subsidized anymore.
They're not.
First 7 years they were, and then they, oh, you know better, you taught me.
No.
Yeah, it's, you know, after the initial, funding and support from HUD, there are years, limits 7, 10, they come off and then they become privately owned. And so then the prices go up at that point. So we have another unit that's coming on right now in Lansing, that's got a lot of apartments in it, it's going to open up soon, because I've actually got light fixtures in there now. But, that is actually subsidized by the state of Kansas taxing system. It wasn't something that the city had to come up with RHID or anything like that. So there's quite a few apartments in there, and they're looking pretty good to me. So we'll see if that can help.
So is there another one of these things that the state helps for about 7 years
Yes,
or something?
it's always on, same as the RHID, it's always been helped for a certain amount of years.
Right. What's the name of that, Jeanette?
I think it's Covington Woods too.
Gotcha, okay, yeah, okay.
Well, we
Yes,
are
yeah.
at
If
an
we
hour.
could get
Yep.
some of those houses, apartments, I'll find out, cause
Okay.
I'm going there next week.
Thank you.
We are at our hour. Is Sister Amy, if there's any other questions, can you hang around and answer?
Absolutely.
But we have to